Good morning, Earl. All right. Good morning, y'all. Just getting started here. I have to check an email quick. Okay. Let's get that set up. God, I have so much dog hair on me. Mm-hmm. No, add this to your plan and then write the full plan to kvplan.markdown. So this is super cool, what I got working over the weekend. I got working basically the beginnings of what will hopefully be effect platform for Cloudflare. I have this Scratch file, and this completely works. This is basically an effect native entry point for Cloudflare workers. So if we like run this, we can come down here and do something like this. We can do Wrangler dev. And if we open another terminal, we can curl x get HTTP localhost, and that is 53478. Boom. Morning, Buffy.
Functions describe the world.
Thank you for the follow, Bruno. So, let's clean up here. We can do KV Wrangler KV namespace. We can delete we can delete the one we have, which is, what is the binding? God, that sun's like right in my eye. All right, deleted that KV. I can delete this. We can run Wrangler types. I want to write tests for KV, and then I want to basically generate the R2 client and probably do G1, and then we're going to do the hard part, which is going to be durable objects. God, the sun. This seems reasonable. It really freaking went overboard here. Well, this will work. Good morning, Fallen. Let's see here. We're gonna take this into our own hands a little bit here. KV plan. I want to review this. Oh, this is great. From miniflare worker D. I want to go to some of these. Runtime implementation. Let's see this. Okay, so there's the error. Yeah. Okay. What are they? What library are they using in here? just straight up, wonder what that's wrapping. God. Let me see if I can fix this freaking blind here. I need to get, curtains. I don't think that helped very much. Whatever. All right, we have. Wonder if we got that one. All right, I want to see if we can find that error. At least, okay, yeah, we got it. Okay, I think this seems reasonable at first glance, and for a prototype, I think we can cook with it. So let's clear that, and I know I want to delete the bottom. Decision. Oh, I love this song. Oh, Sri, I owe you a response on X. I just remembered. Sorry, I keep forgetting. Let me like write an actual reminder for myself that I don't forget about that. Okay. We want this thing. I cannot figure out where I need my left keyboard to have it comfortable. It's driving me crazy. I've been cooking a workflow bun and workflow node and express adapter too in the meantime. Hell yeah. Yeah, today I start technically at noon East Coast time is like my orientation call. Let's say add. All right, so we just I'd rather have more specific errors. Okay, we got that. Those with the suits and ties. Well, I don't really get started till noon my time, but these tests are a joke. We're not doing this. These seem like fine. This seems fine. All right, let's have Claude cook on that. Implement at KV plan. We'll stick it there. Make it write its own plan to execute the plan. The more planning this thing does, the better it goes. I've got rage baited on Twitter today. Same. Yo, MS is locked in. 10 streak. Let's go. Like, don't get me wrong. I think a lot of effects criticism is super fair, and people's skepticism towards it. Like, I don't contest or debate that. But it drives me crazy that people form such strong opinions with such weak arguments without even like trying to build something with it, and naively just go right to the it's like Ramda or RX. Like those arguments are weak. I thought I thought that the guy at Cloudflare that I haven't met yet, Michael, I thought his thread was reasonably good. And like he picked apart effect like it should be picked apart and rose the valid concerns that people should raise. I don't know where I can find this. Right here. This guy, Michael Hart. I'll be working, well, I work with him as of today. This thread is good, and there's a ton of valid points in here that like I would be concerned if someone was trying to adopt, especially like he's calling out from a CTO or VP eng. Like these are the things you should be thinking about, right? I think some of it's a little unfair or biased, and isn't giving effect the credibility it deserves. But as a whole, I think this thread is incredibly fair. We'll read through this here in a second, and I'll talk about I'll talk about his response. Because, like, I think this is the kind of criticism in this thread that Effect needs to have the answer to. Like, he's not attacking the easy, low-hanging fruit of, like, you know, weird syntax. I mean, some of it is like that, but, like, it's from a different angle. Folks. Yeah, go. All right, so let's read through this thread quick. So Michael said, spoiler for the problems I list, it's not. Any CTO or VPN who's tackling hiring or scaling JS teams over the years will tell you the same. You're taking on a fundamentally different runtime, return types, and control flow from idiomatic JS. Okay, so like immediately this part I actually think is a good thing. And the difference, like, I think breaking away from try catch and exceptions for application code is very important to having resilient software. Let's answer these questions. Jump to the end of the line here. Internal. Let's see, include all. Let's take internal slash. All right. Thanks, Ron. So remember when monad likes made it into JS? Callbacks to promise.then wasn't any easier for new readers to read or understand. Whole library APIs changed. It took years. It was only when async await landed that enough people finally agreed it made async code more readable. I don't necessarily agree with that. Like, people were using promises over callbacks for many years before async await landed. Like, I don't really agree with that, especially like inside library and like infrastructure level code type packages, which honestly, again, a place where Effect shines. So that would be my pushback there. Many who jumped in too early doubled up rewriting promises.then. If you were rewriting code from promise.then to async await, like doing full rewrites, that's skill issue. Like, there is no world where like that should happen. So keep that perspective. A small FB concept like future takes a language change to become understood and adopted. I actually don't agree with that. I think this is a weak argument. Like, I don't think there's compelling evidence that JavaScript developers struggled to use promises. I'll buy the argument that like the runtimes took years to make them performant, but like that's like totally orthogonal to the entire argument. All right, let's keep going. Effect is much more than that. Like others of its ilk, I hate the word ilk. It's like taking on a new language. Easy if you're a one-man band or already Scala, Haskell, etc. devs. Much harder if your board has just told you need to hire 50 new JS TF devs and be productive tomorrow. I think there's a ounce of truth to this, but also at the same time, I think it doesn't give a fair shake at Effect, because my experience and watching other companies and VC-funded startups and a bunch of different just like sized engineering orgs adopt Effect, I have seen developers be able to onboard onto effect code bases very, very quickly because the guardrails are so good. And there's like, I say this all the time, but there are like literally 3 patterns that you have to learn in effect that once you learn, all effect code looks the same and does the same things. It's very predictable, very easy to get going. Um, so it could be different this time for JS buy-in. LLMs possibly still slower for noobs than intuition, but it's definitely something. That's a fair call out. TypeScript maybe pros here, but cons too. Complex type inscrutability. I actually totally disagree on the second point. Mostly because Effect has the level of type inference that like your drizzles or your TRPCs have. Like I write way less complex types than I do with regular TypeScript because Effect takes care of so much. And with Mattia's LSP, like you get really helpful error messages anyway. 3 YouTube tutorials evangelism, maybe 2 if you can get React levels of buy-in, but the needle's swinging back on complexity even there. I think that's a fair argument. I mean, I think this is just like not necessarily a fair comparison, but like if we're going to make the argument that React was adopted and it was made weird, then like we have to confront that anyways. So like in that case, like it's fair. So I'll buy that. Some marketing misdirection I don't love. Jay says want more standard library. I don't know if I would agree with that. I wouldn't say JS devs want a standard library. It's more that like JS devs need a standard library. Sure, but they're not asking for a whole new paradigm to go with it. They want what Bun's doing. Just adding methods to standard, that's it, not dozens. I don't fully agree with the paradigm shift because like I really do not think Effect is that much of a paradigm shift once you get used to it. Like it's just not that weird, but like there is a runtime associated with it, so like partially valid. I also do actually really, really think this is a good point. I think that there is a real chance for Bun to eat some Effect market share by continuing to build a really, really good standard library similar to what Effect's doing. Um, and like you can see, like I've tweeted about this in the past, like when Bun first released their S3 compatible like blob storage API, people were so upset because it's like, oh, this isn't this isn't a standard. This isn't part of like the Node.js runtime. And like I was like, no, this is like what we need. Um, so I I am not sleeping on Bun. Like I think what they're doing is good, and like I think that could be a viable route. So I do really kind of agree with this. But in the interim, I think Effect is like doing so much more. Future version will be better. That's cool, and it may be true. Just a callback to when that time comes and we can check in. Migrations are painful. This is like this is a super good criticism um, that the Effect team has to deliver on. Hello, guys.
I called.
What?
I called the contractor this morning.
Hold on, chat.
Winnie's in here with you.
Alright, you shut the door.
Yes, I am.
I was asked, are you?
I am.
Okay. Let me come back to this. The music stop. Right, I was talking about this part. A future version will be better. So this is a line that I've been kind of parroting a lot, is that like Effect 4.0 has to land. Like it has to be good. And I think Mattia's still here. I talked to Kit about this over the weekend, but like I really strongly feel that Effect 4.0 cannot release without the docs being completely redone. Like it just destroys so much credibility when trying to evangelize effect, and you have to be like, the docs aren't good. Like that needs to be a priority. Like release it in beta, like whatever you have to do, but like do not officially release and announce until docs and onboarding are good and ready. Because like if we're saying that Effect 4.0, it's making it smaller, it's making it faster, it's fixing APIs, it's reducing the cognitive overhead of some of the concepts like tags and services. Like it's solving so many of the criticisms that can get thrown at Effect. But if the docs are still not bad, and people like me trying to evangelize Effect and introduce Effect into companies don't have credible, good quality documentation to go to, like it's table stakes, in my opinion. So, I agree with Michael here, and I'd be interested to hear your guys' story. When I say your guys, the Effect team's story on like migrating from 3.0 to 4. Like I fundamentally kind of understand what that looks like, but yeah, you can just pick the bits you want. Also good, but complicated in heterogeneous teams. You have one clever team member using all the things, and others get lost and can't fix during an incident. I don't think that's super true. In fact, like having effect during incidents is super nice because of the telemetry and error handling, and like because it like quite frankly, I wish I had effect in every incident I've been in, because like you just have all the tools you need to figure out what's wrong. You know the things that can be happening because you have all your error paths done. You know all your dependencies that are being used, and you have built-in telemetry. So I think this is actually a weak argument here, which I'd be interested to see what somebody responded to this. There's a talk on YouTube by a senior engineer from Vercel that pretty much did everything you're listing is bad and non-starter, and it worked. Then great. Yeah, that's me. LOL. I am now his coworker. So I don't think this is a good argument. I think it's a good concern, but I think this is a concern, an unfounded concern, because they haven't taken the time to actually understand fully what effect is. I'll get to comments here when I get finished with this bit. Typically, if there's just a good bits, then it'll lead to either a minimally scoped fork copycat or a new version that ditches the cruft. New version might help the lib survive, but can leave bad taste for who want in. That was basically Effect Micro, which is now becoming Effect 4.0. But that circles back to this argument here, a future version. So again, 4.0 has to land, and it has to land well. JS and TS are still evolving in parallel. In the past, you can just see a natural attrition in helper libs. For those all in on effect, no probs. For those just using it for a couple of missing language features, the introduction of a whole execution engine is a risk. You don't need to use the execution engine for so much of the library. Of course, it's very amusing to watch some people pile on who were barely kids when we were using Spring more than 20 years ago. IOC containers, aspect-oriented programming, logging DBs, checked exceptions. It wasn't just production grade; it was enterprise grade. I think this is a fair criticism, but I also I also think Spring Boot and Spring 3.0 and Spring 4.0 genuinely are pretty good and help Java developers make good software. Like, you can obviously still go overboard with enterprise, but like having Spring is good. The pragmatic people who love effect know this, of course, right? I can agree. They're happy to say, yeah, it's a lot. I can agree with that and be cautious about introducing it beyond personal projects. I think you do need to be cautious, and I've called that out, but like I've now proven in practice multiple times that it can work. I think this argument would have been a lot stronger 6 to 8 months ago, maybe a year ago. But Johannes had a good tweet on like where effects at on the adoption curve. I think it's out of touch with where effects actually at and how widely used effect actually is. So that's my rant. Not really rant. Like, I think it was that thread was genuinely the best thread that I've read, critiquing and criticizing effect. Like, I think, like I said at the beginning of it, those are the things that if you're an engineering leader, considering effect, that you should be thinking about and should be concerned about. But also, I think you need to give it a bit more of a fair shake. It's my take. Mic drop. Alchemy Devs thread, though, can you link me that? I want to catch up on chat here. How's the first orange day? I mean, I get why people compare it. Like, just seeing the pipe operator, like dot pipe, like that is going to trigger, like, man, I spent 4 months on a single contract when I was at Formidable rewriting an RxJS backend that was absolutely just horrible, not performant, hard to reason about. Like, I get it. Like, I understand for the people that have been burned by tech like Rx, like you have to empathize and understand, like, that's a real concern that like there has to be an answer to the people that feel that way, because it's a genuine concern, and like it has to be more than just like linking to the myths page in the docs, unfortunately. Even if it's takes more work on the effect community side, like that's not good enough. Promises like existed even years before actually being spec'd out. Yeah, there was like Bluebird and stuff. Just as one less than same fucking shit. JS surely needs a standard lib. I think the real problem people have with effect that they're using flimsy arguments to hide is that their guardrails are right there, and guardrails make people who want to move fast and break things feel weird. It's crazy though, because like I can move so much faster with effect, especially with AI. That's a good argument, John. People get hunt. Yep, exactly. This is what I was saying too. Like there are valid arguments and concerns that have to be addressed. Effect 4.0 should be big. Valid point for the first 4.0 stable release. I think that was probably about the docs. Just go interject. Is there a hobby? Right now, this is a hobby project. It's not Cloudflare work. Just open source. JS has reached a critical mass where it's already legacy or quickly becoming legacy, and our decisions are going to bite us hard. It's so funny. I've been writing JavaScript professionally since 2013. So like I've gotten to live through a lot of the stuff that Michael called out in that thread, and what you're saying here, disgruntled. Like I went from the days of like Browserify and Grunt and Gulp to Webpack, like that whole cycle. I think if you're too dumb to understand effect, you should look for another job. I don't think so. Like, the service layer stuff is the hardest stuff to learn. But like, I don't think we should attack people like that. Like, we have to be empathetic and meet people where they're at. People don't value effects telemetry until they have the experience of having released something without. Yeah, it's so true. I think that's part of like why it's just like once you've dealt with managing so much production software and seeing the problems that come from your own decisions and the difficulties of scaling specifically TypeScript and Node in production, it makes effect super attractive because it's just like a fix for all of those things. Watched Ethan's talk on effect and he's convinced me to give effect a go. Bro's insanely cracked. Yeah, dude, Ethan's my boy. I love Ethan. I'm so glad I got to work with him. Alchemy's great. I met Sam last week on a call. Sam's awesome from Alchemy. I'll probably stream a little bit longer today. World Driver Cup thoughts. Ooh. Man, I don't know. It's right now, clearly Lando has the advantage. I think if Lando keeps his form that he's had the past couple weeks, I think he wins it. But Lando also has a history of getting in his head and being his own worst enemy. So as long as he can like keep that at rest, Lando's gonna win it. I also don't think the criticism of Oscar's been super fair. I think Oscar's had some slightly off races, obviously like crashing and stuff, but like I don't think his performance is as bad as it looks. I think part of it looks worse because Lando has stepped up. But obviously I want Oscar to win. But I also like God, I have so much chat. I'm sorry, I'm trying to catch up, y'all. I've been for Evolution, never used RX. I also agree with this take 100%. And if anyone watching my stream takes nothing else away from what I want to teach, it's this lesson here. I think TypeScript devs should try other languages and learn just different patterns and practices from other ecosystems. All right, let's see here. Yeah. I think you should try building something real with effect. Did this person, hold on, I want to make sure I'm not coming off condescending. Okay. I think you should start building something real with effect. Even if you have no interest in shipping it in prod or using it again. It brings so many things to the table that make managing large TypeScript applications and code bases hard. It creates a pit of success. I would bet my salary on a dev unfamiliar with effect being able to triage an incident faster in a effect code base than not because of the things at Sam is calling out. Okay, that's what I wanted to say about that. I just had a hard time. Yeah, I do have a tip, Victor, on using AI with effect. I found that AI is not very good at bootstrapping brand new effect code bases. But I found that once you have like a couple services written, then it's very good. Also, I've read, I have a thread bookmarked here that I want to start doing right here. Michael Arnaudy suggested cloning the effect repo as a Git subtree, giving it to Claude, and then using that as docs. I've heard a lot of really good things about that, so that'd be worth trying. I'll copy this tweet, throw that in there. Can Bun be utilized with Cloudflare? No, you can't use Bun runtime. You can run Bun in containers, so you could do that. I have not broken prod. I watched React-Born. I went through the edgy class components. Whoa. Let's not call it edgy class components here. I still like class components. Can you talk a bit, write a blog post on the high-level design of Vercel domains? I was supposed to write a blog post. I can talk. I've talked a lot about this. Maybe I'll do like a actual video with the team talking about how we build it. Yeah, there's some stuff out there me talking about this already, but no verify. I made a nice effect wrapper for my solid star query. Love it. Yep. Affecting Gleam when? I think you could make a really nice Gleam library backed by effect, such that you could write your asynchronous code in Gleam and compile to Erlang and to JS and use the same asynchrony model because effect is lazy. That's what makes like using like the OTP stuff, like when you want to compile to Erlang in JavaScript and in Gleam right now, like you have to have like kind of two separate-ish paths because of promises being eager. So I think you could do something pretty cool there. How well does effect-TS integrate with Cloudflare? That's actually what I'm kind of working on right now. The phase now is directives. Bro. I don't like directives. Funny that I have this up right here. I thought it was workflow SDK. How did you get effect build, man? I built real software with it. All right, let's see if this is type checking. So let's go to Scratch. We're good here. And let's see what the errors that this gives us is now. So we're gonna do a pipe and we'll do an effect.catch tag. So catch tag is basically saying like, catch all the errors. Like I wanna handle a specific error. So you can give it a string and it knows exactly what your errors are here. When we call kv.get, all the things that can go wrong here, we can have a network error, we can have a metadata error, we can have a rate limit error, JSON parse. Those are like our legit errors there. And we can like catch them. Let's say it's like a rate limit error. This will give us access to the error object. And this will have error And if we look here, we'll have like type specific stuff on here, right? Like we have retry after, recommended back off, the operation that it came with. So that's super nice. Let's go to internal KV namespace. I fucking hate directives with my lifeblood. I don't think the one directive that I don't have too much of a problem with is use client. Use client seems fine for what it does. Everything else I'm not a huge fan of. Like use server, like use client basically is telling the bundler that this is a standalone chunk and to chunk it alone and ship it to the client in like a and basically create a manifest that it can be looked up. Like I think that's like a fine use of directives. I think use server is like not great, especially when it's talked about in the same way as use client, because it's like fundamentally different, right? Like use server is saying turn this function into an RPC call. I don't like that. I don't love use workflow and use step, even though I worked on that product. But I could be wrong and directives could win out. And the good thing is like the API behind Vercel's workflows is really good. So you could easily like pick apart the workers development kit and build your own front end to it super easily. Yeah, I like how I'm not gonna lie, I like how TanStack does it. I think Tanner Lindsay made a really good argument. That like Tanner made the argument that compilers are good, and this like comp time macro style programming is good, at least for React and like server stuff. But directives are not good because it's hard to carry type safety and clear semantics through it. And when you have a function that gets compiled, it can be type safe and it can carry more semantics with it, and it can be versioned. Directives, I think this like especially for like use workflow and like use cache in Next.js. To be clear, workflow is not part of Next.js. I am interested to see if and when they run into versioning problems with directives. All right, I think this is... All right. This seems pretty reasonable. I'm KV namespace error. Did we see those errors in the scratch file? When we come here and we say .pipe effect.catch tag. Okay, that is updated. Great. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm gonna open source this now, I think. And in fact, I should probably see if I can KV error update. I don't know what we'll do here. Let's see what our changes are. I've been just kind of like hacking at this locally. So we can add Wrangler to our let's come in here to our git ignore and let's add some Cloudflare specific stuff. We'll say .wrangler, and we also don't need our wrangler.toml. That's like for testing. Well, no, yeah, we don't want to commit that. Git status. Shouldn't that git ignore taking care of that? Git remove cached dot wrangler slash star. Oh my god. Dash R. We can remove KV plan. We can ignore. I don't even know what's in these markdown files. Oh, this is just a bun. Yeah, that's fine. That looks good. Let's git remove cache, and we'll remove wrangler.toml. And then that looks good for now. Change to here /scratch. Batman. And we'll do git rebase -I main. Git log. Okay, so that is our first commit. So let's go ahead and make a new git repo. To be honest, I still don't understand what this project is. Are you wrapping Cloudflare functions in effect? I'll show you here in a second, John. I realize I haven't talked a lot about what I'm doing here, but I have some like boilerplate stuff to get through here. Effect Cloudflare. This can be public for now. Create repository. Push an existing. We want this. Okay, now we should have effect Cloudflare. And what? Okay. Now let me git checkout branch, and we'll do dmulroy /empty, and we'll git checkout package.json from main. I guess it's main comes before the file, right? Main package JSON. Oh, it's because we right. Remove all files and directories recursively that aren't package.json. Damn it, I just nuked the fucking Git directory. All right, we'll just do this the old-fashioned way. Remove dash rf source. I mean, we can just publish it as it is, I guess. npm who am I? Okay. And let's go into package, say version. It's been so long since I've published a npm package. I forget how to do this. S tier is probably one of them. This is the best logo ever created. I'll catch up on stream once I get this published to npm, just so I can get a name claimed. Version is going to be 0.0.0 alpha. And then we can just do publish. npm publish. Uh, 0.0.0 alpha. Tag must not be a valid semvar range. What are you talking about, dog? Init. Initial. The fuck is happening? All right, so we snagged the effect-cloudflare package, so we have that now. Means nobody can snipe that out from underneath of us. That was like the main thing I wanted to get done. All right, so let me catch up on chat, and then I will go over what I have so far and how it works. Let's see here. Super Maven is getting shut down today or in the next couple days. They put out a blog post about it. Well done, best of luck with your first day at Cloudflare. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I want a tab completion model for NeoVim. Wait, what is this? Oh, we're talking about Super Maven. There's so many functions in effect. What are the ones you use the most? I think somebody linked Kit's website already. That's a good resource. And then the other thing is in the effect docs. There is a thing down here. Right here, this thing. Learn these, and you'll be good. These are 95% of what I write, and I very rarely touch anything else. I shouldn't say very rarely, but those are the things that matter. What up, Brendan? Shout out to Brendan. NPM tried to have a good DX challenge, impossible. Yep. Yep. Exactly what Mattia said. If y'all aren't following Brendan, you 100% should. Super entertaining stream, high quality content, does effect stuff, 10 out of 10. Charming and handsome. Okay. So, to cover where we're at, or where I'm at already with it. Do I have 3 arc tabs open? No. Okay. Feels like I have 3 arc tabs open. All right, so where I'm at right now is that I have made, I've broken my NeoVim config. Just kidding. Maybe not though. Oh yeah, because this, I deleted that back in here. Cloudflare, and we'll git nuke this, and we'll git checkout main, and we'll bun install. So I am trying to write basically what will hopefully become the Cloudflare platform package for like the official effect library. And to start with that, I was playing with a way to get trying to figure out the best, like most ergonomic way to work with Cloudflare and effect. And I found a way to basically take advantage of how Cloudflare already does dependency injection, which maps super nicely to how effect does dependency injection. So like in a normal workers app, let's just say I have like, we'll say down here, export const, we'll call this async entry point. And this would have like, this would be like your normal request, env context. This would be your normal worker, right? Like this would just be a request. This would be your bindings, which would be cloudflare.env. And this is automatically generated for you from your Wrangler file. So if you come here and look, you can see that like these match what's in my, I deleted the Wrangler toml. I'm so stupid. Fuck. I can go get my Wrangler toml from Cloudflare maybe. We can also regenerate it. I cooked myself, chat, in this case. I did a silly. Can probably come in here and maybe get the source. Maybe. Can I get at the... Can I use Wrangler to generate a Wrangler.toml from a deployed worker? I'm almost positive they're working on a sync. Everybody else does. All right, whatever. We'll just have AI regenerate my. The name of this was. We can work with this. This is okay. Claude In fact, it might even be in the ref log. Did we? No, we didn't. It wouldn't be in the ref log. Because we never committed it. Generate the Wrangler.toml for this project. Is the name. It's already deployed. So anyways, once your Wrangler toml file's written, you generate types from it. And the types you would see here are like, I have a KV store name KV, and I have an environment variable. And once that's generated, why can't I get down here? Oh, I'm in select mode. Use the Wrangler CLI to get the ID. And then, so that gets generated for you, and the runtime, worker D, which is the like edge node runtime, or the edge types or JavaScript runtime that Cloudflare uses, it dependency injects your dependencies onto this env object. This is an execution context global this.that. So this is how you would write a normal worker, right? You get like your request, and like if I were to rewrite the top part, it would literally just be const maybe value equals env dot, I don't know why my, hold on, my LSP is not working. Let me make sure everything's installed. That's good. Then we should get autocomplete here when I do m dot, yeah, kv, and then you can like have your like async await promises. So like we would do get last accessed, then we could say context dot wait until, and this takes a promise. So we could just do, does this really, what does this need? It needs a promise. So we can just do an immediately invoked function expression. That, and then this will be async. And in here, we would do console.log runs after response. And one thing to call out is that like this top code doesn't inherently add any benefit to like what it's doing, right? Like it is genuinely just boilerplate right now, but it's about what it unlocks. This would be last access, and this would be date.now. Why are you upset? I expected, oh, it's because this doesn't have the body. And then we could return, we'll say if maybe value equals null, return 22. And then we have this return so this should be functionally equivalent. So why is the top part interesting? The top part is interesting because our KV here is automatically getting turned into an effect-based equivalent, and it's using the same code gen stuff as the vanilla JavaScript version, right? So if we come in and we were to add, please just finish this. we were to add a new environment variable, so we'll say another one, and make this DJ Khaled. DJ, oh god, I have caps on. DJ Khaled, right? Or if I added another KV store, we'll say VK. When I come into my effect code now, those will be available to me. So if we look here, env.vk, it's already there. It's already set up to work with effect, an effect API. And if you look down here, same thing. This is the normal Cloudflare experience. .vk.get, these are the async await ones. So like they basically dependency inject through this environment thing. And now what's cool is now that this works, is that I could be in like a totally separate file, right? And I could be like function, business logic, right? And I can come in here and we'll just do return effect.gen function star. And let's say this is totally decoupled away from my entry point, right? Like I am not thinking about this being in a like HTTP context, but I could come down here and I can be like const env equals yield star env. And now anywhere in my code, I can be like env.kv.whatever. I have access to everything that's on my Cloudflare environment variable in a like effectful way, just like that. And like I don't have to worry about like ever providing the env because the entry point does that for me. So you basically get like dependency injection on steroids. It's super cool. This is the cool part of what this unlocks. And so the way this works is like technically when I would use this, right? Like if we came down here and I was just like my key, right? Const maybe value, yield star, and then we just returned maybe value, right? If we look at what this effect returns, it's going to return an effect that has a requirement on this env, right? And like if you know about effect, before you can run an effect, you need to provide an environment. But if you were to call this effect inside worker make entry point, will automatically provide environment for you under the covers. So you never have to worry about like setting up your environment or providing it anywhere. You just get it for free because like workers necessitate you like exporting this entry point. And because of that, we can do some clever stuff under the covers, like automatically wrap and create effectful versions of the Cloudflare environment and the context and put them into the effect context. So anywhere in your application, you can yield for the execution context or the environment and get it without ever setting up the dependency injection for it. So like this little bit of code right here is insanely powerful. Like, it might be one of the best effect experiences I've seen. We're going to get into some tricky waters here when we start to write bindings for like durable objects and stuff, but Johannes has done some interesting work there to start the effort. Yep, today's first day. I technically start at noon East Coast time or 9 a.m. Pacific time, so we've got time to stream. But like if we go look at like what our And like, you guys have to remember that this is like library code I'm writing right now. So a lot of the code we're going to be writing on stream over the next couple days, maybe a week or two, building this. It's going to be library code, but it's to enable being able to write code like this and this down here. All right. I am going to be working in the developer platform org, so I know I'm going to be working with like the outer base guys a lot up front on DX and UX and stuff like that. But my understanding is that principal engineers at Cloudflare have like quite a bit of freedom to work on problems they think are important or want to work on. So we'll see where I land. I mean, if there's the right opportunity to use effect at Cloudflare, I'll do it. But like, I'm not gonna come in gun swinging trying to just like introduce effect everywhere. I'm sure there will be opportunities, but it's not like my mission is to come in and introduce effect. Okay. So we've got the KV working. Let's have Claude write a plan for basically doing the same thing we've done for KV store, but for R2, which is basically Cloudflare's like S3 competitor. I wrote a little command line tool in OCaml that I was using for like my first couple months. Not first couple months. I wrote a little OCaml CLI for doing DNS stuff, but then I ended up building that functionality into our dashboard and scrapped it. But I did not ship any Gleam. So I can technically say I shipped OCaml, but not really. All right, so let's clear, and now let's say create a technical step-by-step, detailed, exhaustive, thorough, well-researched plan for implementing our Cloudflare R2 with effect bindings in the same way, style / patterns that we did for KV. C at KV. Research R2's API and errors thoroughly. We'll just say all should think. And create a plan. Well, what it's gonna do is like, this is like, it's funny because like AI is very good at effect once something's there. So like I wrote most of the KV stuff myself in here. Like most of this code I wrote myself, with the exception of the errors. It did all the errors. Once we get down to like these types, I copy and pasted from the Cloudflare types and just went through and converted them to effect types. So like rather than returning null or undefined, I'm using options. And then here's the API. I just went through, like the get function has 18 overloads, I think. And I just went through and I converted these to effect-based APIs rather than promises and added in the errors. And then the actual implementation is, where is it? That's map error right here, make. Like it's just using try promise and using the like raw client async await style and then mapping the error if one happens. I think I want to rename this, but that's fine for now. Have you seen this? Let me look. I have not seen this. This is basically what we're going for, though. I'm going to start this. Who did this, JP? Let's see here. Index. So the thing we're going to do different eventually is, that's an interesting way to do this. We do need to have bindings and API. So this is not a bindings implementation, I don't think. I am curious where they got their errors from. Errors, bucket not found. Oh, sorry, these just might be generic errors. See, what we want to do is we're going to take the file system from Effect Platform and we'll implement an R2 version of that over top of it eventually, once we get the like core primitives in. That way you could just like yield star file system. Like, I don't know if, where was that example? Like in the docs, you could come in here and right here, you could yield file system and you wouldn't need this part, but you could provide like Cloudflare file system layer. It would be like probably like R2 file system, and then you could just use the platform that, and it's gonna write remotely to a remote storage. But you'd be able to use like the file system API. How do I fucking grab this? Here we go. Code with Josh. I'm so far behind on this stuff. Do you mind me asking what effect is and why you use it rather than using just TypeScript or Tanstack? Effect is like a standard library for TypeScript, and it brings like a bunch of things that I find valuable to the table and makes them easy to use. Things like explicit error handling, dependency injection, and telemetry. Yeah, I saw that, Nil. The same person also made other Cloudflare effect stuff. Sweet. I wonder if they have a durable objects package, because I'd be interested to seeing how that's crazy. Effect errors. I want to go to the repos. And we'll just type in Cloudflare. Is there other... Ethan's now 20. Ethan turned 20 a couple weeks ago. Louis, I'm having a blast with Effect. I'm just watching you code away, and that inspired me to do something with it. I just freaking love how you write code in Effect. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Oh, gotcha. Let's go to the docs for R2 as well. Documentation, please. Thank you. Okay, so we could do, let's drop this down to there. Yes. And then while this is cooking here, let's open up another tab and just do like Wrangler D2 or R2 list. Is that a command that I have? R2 buckets, R2 bucket list. Personal, we can probably delete that. R2 bucket, do we think it's delete? Name personal. I'm just guessing commands here. What is in the R2 bucket? Let's see here. We probably want R2 object. What's the commands here? Get. I have no idea. How can I see what's in there? Bucket, info, personal. I'm having such a hard time deleting this stupid bucket. Object count 1. I want to say Vercel Blob nailed DX. There's a bunch of foot guns with Vercel Blob. Mostly around like there's like an incompatibility right now between the max blob size that Vercel Blob can take and the max upload size that Vercel functions can use. I think I saw Malta tweet that they're close to fixing this, or maybe it already shipped. But like, if you have to chunk like a large upload, S3, like Vercel Blob follows S3's API, right? So like, if you want to stream and chunk a blob that is too big to upload in one go, you're technically supposed to stream like 5 MB chunks. Is that right? Something like that. But like the max chunk size in a Vercel function is like 4.5 megs. So like you get into this weird state where you can't properly stream large blobs. But like the API itself of the package is good. I think Vercel does very good at like its SDKs. Personal, I don't know. Personal, just slash. All right, so I should now be able to bucket delete. So stupid. I just emptied it, dog. Whatever. So unresolved questions. Let's answer these. Should multiple be R2 multi, just use that error, dog. Should rangers be separate or part of R2 invalid? We'll do that as a separate class. I don't know. Whatever leads to a simple and good API/DX. We want separate. Yeah, the 4.5 gigabyte is a bit of a boomer because we need to migrate away from Vercel to Cloudflare for one customer. So customer is uploading such a file. Yeah, I originally was working on the feature that. Let me see if I can go find Malta. That just got, they released bulk redirects. I started helping on that. I don't know where it's at. I know it just released though. I don't know where it's at. They released bulk redirects, and like I was trying to build it using Vercel Blob, and like I just hit limitations, and I had to switch to using S3. The mess of me. Anyways. Yeah, I don't know what the limitation is, Priv. I never found a good answer on like why that is the way it was. I want to write this. All right, we'll just let this cook because. All right. So that must be the whole API there. Manino barks. Whoa. Hey, Winnie. Wow. That's sick. That's actually crazy. Damn. Let's fucking go. Dude, that's a big reason why I joined Cloudflare was like they are incredibly serious about building out their developer platform and like over the next 5 years getting to the point where they can start competing like with the hyperscalers on their offerings. Like they are not afraid to like completely acknowledge where they have pain points and paper cuts and DX problems and shortcomings, and they're making all the right moves, at least in my opinion, to like really become a serious, not that they're not serious now, but like to become like a really, really good place to host basically any compute with like novel primitives and global replication without like the downsides. Like, yeah. There's like a bunch of cool stuff happening with I want to read that. Like the hyperdrive stuff with Planet Scale is like really, really good, and they're working on even more cool
Functions
stuff there.
describe the world.
I think there is a desire probably to have some sort of native Postgres offering someday, maybe. But I think hyperdrive's a really, really exciting piece of technology. Again, like some of their technology is like early and has paper cuts and DX problems. Like today, like you saw like the whole. This is an argument that Vercel makes against Cloudflare is like, especially when it comes to like durable objects or workers, but like putting compute next to your data, like they're well aware of that and are working on solutions that match their platform to make that work well, rather than just like a config option that you could put. Like basically the way you could think about it is like they could ship tomorrow a configuration option in Wrangler that says put this durable object in such and such region or colo, but that's like a one-way door to walk through, and they want to have a better DX in that. Yeah, I agree. Exactly why I joined. Oh yeah. All right, let's set up a R2 thing. We have one set up here. Where's my dashboard? Let me sign in. So if we go over to developer platform and we go to storage and databases, I should have one set up. Wedding photos. I need to delete this because I didn't actually end up storing them here. I had basically an empty Dropbox account from like 2011 that had a ton of space in it that I ended up using. So if we do Wrangler R2, we want to get to the delete object. R2 object delete, and this will be personal/wedding photos. Remote. All right, so now we should be able to delete that bucket. R2 delete bucket, delete personal. That should be empty now. It's not empty. How is it not empty? Dog, I just deleted it. There's nothing here. Bro, this is crazy because there's nothing in it. Like this is an example of like there's nothing in here, but I can't delete it. The padding, maybe I'll try to fix this today. The padding on this thing, if I can get access to Git today, that upload forms padding is atrocious. I have a whole paper cuts file. We'll have a Claude do it. Maybe. Just clear. Delete the personal / wedding photos object in D2, and then delete the personal bucket using Wrangler. All right, so R2 should be looking good. We have some type errors in here. I'm gonna go read through all this code that we generated. We've got some operations. That looks good. Yes, yes, yes. C categories, limits, API reference. I'm gonna make it go through worker D and mini flare and validate these errors, because I don't trust that yeah, we're gonna want to change this API here. This is gonna need to be R2. And metadata expected 0 arguments but got 1. All right. And then this says you're trying to access cursor on an object that doesn't contain it. And result is what? A R2 objects result dot objects dot can that have a okay, so it can have cursor on there. We will do a at ts expect error. The types just aren't very good. Cursor is a conditional field. Okay. These look pretty good. These look good. I think I want to rename this as R2 bucket. That work? Yeah. Okay. Where is the tag at for like an actual bucket? So we want to take this and we'll do a specter on this and we'll paste that there and we'll say this is going to be R2 bucket dot, or really we could just say dot R2 dot R2 bucket. Yeah, we can do that. Okay. That looks pretty good. And then down here, provide service to affect the bucket, make the bucket. So once we get D1 built in, we can do some more interesting stuff like durable objects, which we'll probably work on tomorrow. You kind of look like Milky. It's so funny because Milky and I joke about being brothers. I was just texting Milky the other day. Milky's good people. I respect Milky a lot. This is so funny. All right. Oh, I just got on my login stuff, chat. I actually might start setting up my laptop. I even saw a term Mulroy effect. I respect you for making. I don't make anyone use effect. To be clear, I will never ever force anyone to use effect. Like at Vercel, like I took the stance that like listen, I want to try this technology. I see value in it for these reasons. I've used it for production work already outside of Vercel, and I want to just trial it. And like my stand, I don't like forcing technology on capable engineers. I would encourage TypeScript developers to try Effect, and I think they would make more resilient software using it. But like, there's no world where I would go into a company and be like, we need to be writing all TypeScript with Effect. It's more like, hey, if your team wants to use this, like, I'm happy to help train and show you how to use it, and like, here's the benefits I see from it, and here's like why I think it should be used. But like, no engineer wants to be told what technology to use, especially if they have like a huge apprehension for it. Done. Great. Okay. Let's make sure this is working quick, and then I'm probably going to wrap up. Cloudflare is a lot of, it's like a TypeScript, Go, and Rust is like the primary stuff. I would guess there's probably still a bunch of Lua from like, well, maybe not. They rewrote to Pangora. I bet there's still some Lua in there. If I know anything about CDNs and proxies. All right, so we should be able to do like Wrangler D2. No, we made R2 bucket. We'll create a test bucket. All right, so we've got a test bucket. Why didn't that add that to my... Why wouldn't that add it automatically to... All right, that's a paper cut. Automatically add R2 buckets to wrangler.toml/json. In fact, we could probably just do this now. I have workers SDK, git pull. So in here, Wrangler, actually no, it'd probably be the CLI, right? This is probably the Wrangler CLI. How does this work? This looks like this might be... I don't know how that works. Let's jump down to Wrangler, source, and if we look at KV, create namespace, create command, add to so there's gonna be a create in here, right? Create a require auth, print resource location, metric send, await created. So I bet add created resource. If update is provided, Wrangler won't ask for permission to write it. Okay. Format config. This is a JSON config file. Right here, this is what we want right here. This clearly isn't added for R2. Where is the index? I bet it's in bucket. Create a new bucket. Right there's the command. Require auth, full bucket jurisdiction, await. Well, this now. Update config preview. So if we go to that function, if the config path, well, let's go to the, oh, maybe it only does it for JSON-C and not TOML. That must be it. Yeah, that looks like that's what's going on there. Let's add this to our TOML, and then let's generate our Wrangler types. So now the cool thing about this chat is we created a R2 bucket through Wrangler command line, and now we can generate our new types, right? And let's actually make this just like, let's make this, whoops, not that. We'll call this bucket, right? Write that, and we'll regenerate our types. Or I did that wrong. This should be bucket. There we go. So if we look at our types now, we'll see that at the top we have a KV and we have a bucket. Now if we go to our Scratch file, ignore the effect stuff for a second. The way Cloudflare does dependency injection is that this will be available on our environment object now. That bucket, right there is bucket. And now we can do all these things with our bucket, right? It just works. And now what's cool about the effect version of this is like we can come down into our logic and we can just yield the environment. And now our environment has the bucket as well, but as a effect version. Effect option bucket, delete, void, and that just works. So now we can use, hold on, I'm getting a phone call. Sorry, that was my my cousin. But I am gonna wrap upstream here. We got to where I wanted to get to, which is that we now have bindings for our R2 bucket. So we should be able to like put stuff into an R2 bucket, which we can try. How do we want to do this? We'll say we'll put foobar.txt or .json. And this will be, we'll do a yason.stringify, and we'll do foo bar, and we'll yield this, and we will deploy this. That's fine. So let's go down here and say deploy. And I should be able to just curl this, and it should curl -x get boom. That should hit that, and now we should see that we got a foobot bar. There it is. There it is, chat. Worked. Effect bindings for R2 are working. Let's go. R2 bindings. All right, yep, I'm gonna wrap up and get ready for the first day at Cloudflare. LFG. Whoa, what the frick happened? Did we raid? Is it going?